Hey everyone, Warsimmer here, and we are about to do the part 2 playthrough of Pivot Point, but first I have to talk about the ongoing situation in Ukraine. Okay, we are entering the third week of this conflict now, and I know emotions can run high at times like this. The loss of life is truly tragic, and I don't pretend to know the answers. I'm sure you don't either. But I do ask that you keep the people over there in your hearts, thoughts, and prayers. Nobody knows how long this is going to go on for, and we can only hope that the suffering comes to an early end. As far as the dev team, I'm sure that many of you know they're situated in Kharkiv, and what I can tell you is that, as of Saturday morning, they're all still okay. But they, like everyone else in that part of the world, are going through some extremely difficult times. These aren't the type of people to complain or make their troubles your troubles, but needless to say, their situation is quite hellish. Watching this, you're going to be seeing a pretend battle going about on your screen, and I'd be lying if I didn't say it felt a little wrong at first, putting something like this up. It was something that I really took the time to think about and contemplate, and I started to ask myself, is this really okay? Eventually, I came to the conclusion that we should do anything we can to help the situation that has developed. And I think, for me, that means making these videos to help raise awareness of their work for potential players and buyers. Even if it's minuscule, even if it has virtually no impact, at least it might serve as some tiny form of help. And you have a responsibility with this too. Tell your friends about the game. Get the word out. Buy the DLCs. The little things tend to add up and we don't always see it. For those of us uninvolved in the conflict, those of us sitting on the side, the best thing we can do right now is support the devs financially. That's a realistic option that's available to us. And at first, being brutally truthful with you, I worried that taking on this mindset might be the culmination of some sort of rationalization. But after really searching myself, I don't think so. The world can be, and often is, a terrible place. But it's up to us, as individuals, to help in any way we can. Again, no matter how small. And this is my way of doing it. If a few people notice Graviteam from this video, my net contribution has been positive. And you should find your own way to contribute towards that net positive. When you get down to it, that's the only way the world becomes a better place. Our little contributions to good. I have children. Many of the developers have children as well. And what we have in common is that we all want them to grow up in a better world. So guys, I hope you enjoy this video. I hope your thoughts are with the people suffering right now. And I hope you think and decide for yourself, what can I do? Because no matter how small that do might be, if you're not contributing to suffering and you're trying to do good, that is what matters. Because that's the type of action that builds rather than destroys. And we'd all do well to remember that. So I hope you have a great day and enjoy watching the work of these fine devs. Now, as far as this engagement, what I'm about to do is the single most important thing for ensuring success in the operation. Your movements and orders on the operational map matter 10 times more than anything you do in the engagements itself. People still don't realize this, so I really try to hammer it home that for the most part, tactical battles, they'll play themselves. You can almost set one up and then watch it like a movie if you do it right. So what's important here? Well, my first priority is not losing this city, Shephetov. We have an early foothold, but nothing's certain yet, and it's a major key point. So establishing this position as a strong defensive anchor is critical. First, I want to make sure my battle groups are entrenched. And that's important not only because it's better to fight from a foxhole than on open ground, but because entrenched troops will have established wire connections before the fight. Meaning you don't have to wait for your wire crews to make dangerous connections that may not even get there in the heat of battle. And these wired connections are critical, particularly for defense. as you can establish spotters who will sight in your artillery, and artillery reigns supreme on the battlefield. If you control the artillery, you control the fight. It's that simple. So let's start with this second battle group in the 478th Rifle Regiment. All right, so looking at them here, you can see we have a lot of platoons that are in red. Now, it's not because they're weakened. It's not because they've been damaged in battle. You can see they're almost all at 100% or close to 100%. The issue is they're exhausted, okay? They have 0 stamina, so we're going to have to fix that. Right now, though, my priority is one thing. I want to get that artillery set up. I'm going to right-click here, and we're going to look at our artillery options. Now, because we're in these defensive positions and we're going to be entrenched, and we have the potential for wired connections, I want to make sure that everyone is going to fall into the same order of battle structure so they can properly communicate sightings to the artillery. So I want to make sure they're all from the 478th Rifle Regiment. That's the battle group we're working from, is a part of this, the 478th Rifle Regiment. So we're looking at our possible placements in this battle group. I have mortar options. Now we're coming to divisional. Looks like we have mortar options and we have artillery options. These are probably 76.2 millimeters. Now, I prefer mortars. I really like mortars in local engagements just because their response is so quick. They can lay down a lot of firepower very quickly. You can see right here we have 82 millimeter mortars. That's 4 of them. Okay, so that can deal some serious firepower. I'm going to go ahead and assign them. And because they are a detachment of the 478th Rifle Regiment, if I have a battalion commander in position, he can spot for them. So let's place this company commander with a battalion commander. And right here you can see the battalion commander, the major. So we'll assign him. Now the reason that's important is because if you put your mouse over this mortar platoon, you'll see that there's only one commander in the platoon. And his job is to relay orders to the mortars. Okay, so he has to be within communication range of the mortars to relay orders to them, and they're going to be behind the front lines. In other words, if he's going to be behind the front lines, unless he has a really good line of sight to the targets, unless he's on a hill directly over the battlefield and he can see everything and the mortars are right behind them, he's not going to be able to spot because he's going to be behind the lines with the mortars. He needs somebody to spot for him. So we can use this battalion commander. Hover your mouse over him, you notice he has a telephone and cable group. Okay, that is key right there because this telephone and cable group is going to connect this battalion commander to that guy. So he's going to connect these people. All right, and so what's going to happen is we're going to put this battalion commander up front where he has good line of sight of the battlefield. Okay, he's going to be placed in harm's way, but he's going to relay spotting orders to this platoon commander, to Kuzmin, and then he in turn is going to relay those firing positions to the battalion mortars. That's why this setup is so critical. If we didn't have this battalion commander, if we just had a regular company commander, there would be no such connection. And these mortars, really the effectiveness of them would be diminished tremendously. Since we have the 1st Battalion commander in charge of this battle group, let's assign some maxims. So we have this machine gun group right here. They are at 100%. They are also in the 1st Battalion. You can see right here it's designated battalion, company, platoon, and you can set that in the options, how you want the designations to go. And I prefer the BCP method because you always know the first number is battalion, second is company, third is platoon. So he's part of the 1st Battalion as well. 1st Battalion commander, he will have a command chain to them if we get those wire crews set up. Let's go ahead now and replace our infantry platoons. And again, I'm looking for 1st Battalion platoons, which these are, but they're tired. And we'll go with these infantry platoons right here, just regular infantry platoons within that 1st Battalion. Their experience level isn't too bad either. You know, we were dealing with I think it was around 30% experienced troops, and now they're all the way up to about 50, which is great. Finally, let's look at our forward observer. You can see the artillery designation, the little dot with the slash going through it means off-map artillery. And again, we're going to be using our 2 82mm mortars for off-map artillery firing solutions. Check our ammo situation. We're looking at 100 high explosives for each, so 200 high explosives total, 20 smoke rounds each, and 50 flares. So this second battle group in the 478th is looking really good. They're all going to be within that wire matrix because they all follow the same chain of command. It's going to be an effective fighting force. Now let's move on to this tank brigade battle group. They're part of the 2nd Tank Brigade, And I believe, yeah, these are our T-34s, which that is exactly what I want to be defending Shepetov. I don't want those Stuarts, okay? Those are light tanks. They're not going to do anything against Panzer IIIs, Panzer IVs when they come rolling in. And again, we're dealing with 3rd Panzer. More than likely, we'll be dealing with them. So that's excellent. Click on this unit, and you can right-click to cycle through his possible options. I'm going to put them on defense, and that will make them build trenches. Same thing here with our T-34 battle group. Our other battle group that's key right now is this 2nd battle group in the 2nd Tank Brigade. This guy right here, you can see the other tank with him is this guy right here. Unfortunately, you see these blue hashed lines right here? These are operational limits for where your battle groups can move. Okay, so historically, you had certain regiments, certain battalions that were not allowed to cross certain portions of the battlefield, and this applies to these units. They have to stay on the northern half of this hashed line here. So I'm thinking I'd like to put him. We'll put him right here. All right, so I've just been working on my battle groups, working on bringing them up to their full strength by bringing in reserves. And there's something I wanted to show you here. So I'm establishing this defensive point right here because you can see we already have entrenched units. There's no key points I need to take. And you did see the Wehrmacht attempt to push through with some mechanized units earlier. They took this 1 kilometer square, and they're starting to zero in on this key point right here, and we need to hold it. So I was looking at this battle group, clicking the middle mouse button to go to it. And if you look at our mortars that we have these 82 millimeter mortars, and you can see they have 100% strength. There's nothing wrong with the crew or the mortars themselves, but if you notice, they're in red. Now, the reason they're in red, look over here. Look at the ammunition situation. 1.2 out of 5 units. So these are the mortars in the last engagement. If you remember, they used and expended all of their ammunition. So what we need to do is get them resupplied. All right, we're probably going to want to take them out of the fight, put them in reserves for now, and then maybe place in some more 50 millimeter mortars to see what they have. But for now, we want to get a resupply unit within range. I'm going to show you how to do that. So again, this is clicked, and we hover our mouse over the unit. And what we want to do is look for the light green circled battle groups. So you can see the closest light green circled battle group to him is this unit right here. The light green circles indicate supply units, and you can see it's confirmed with the little wrenches when their box pops up. So we can click the middle mouse button on him. You can see that it is a supply unit, and they have 50 plus ammunition to divvy out. However, they must be within supply range. So I can click on this guy right here, who was this guy's supply unit, and you can see his supply range is color-coded. He doesn't have good supply range around him, and he doesn't have any supply range to this battle group right here. We need to move him in position where he can provide supplies. So if I tell him to march here at the end of the turn, he'll be on this node. He'll be just 1 node away from this battle group, and he'll be able to supply those mortars with ammunition. For now, since they're out of ammo, let's see what we can replace them with. And I would like to get some kind of mortars again. Do have these 82 millimeter mortars. They're looking fresh. Yeah, you can see they have a full supply of ammo, decent experience, and everything over here looks good. Okay, so what I do want to do is, again, I want to make sure, because we're establishing defensive positions now, we're no longer on offense, I want to get that wire matrix set up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to establish a commander in this battle group who is a battalion commander and can sight in targets for these mortars. You know what? I might actually want to go with these 76.2 millimeter guns. It's open ground, and there's the potential of panzers rolling in. We definitely know there's mechanized, and these are going to be much better at neutralizing those targets. So I think I'm going to go with the 76.2 guns, and they're in the 481st Rifle Regiment. So if you remember, the commander we need is a battalion commander from the 481st. They have to be in the same regiment. So I'm going to go with one of these regimental guns. Let's go with these guys. Full ammo load, 2 guns, and we want to find a battalion commander from that 481st. So here is the battalion commander. We'll assign him. The really cool thing about the 76.2 millimeter gun, it was a pretty decent artillery piece, had some good high explosive rounds, also able to penetrate armor and mechanized. So in addition to the 76.2 Z-Scuns we have in this battle group, I know that they're going to push through with those mechanized units. I was looking at this battle group right here, and I think I'm going to assign some anti-tank weaponry to this battle group as well. Let's look at some of these anti-tank gun platoons, 45 millimeter guns. So they're not going to be as effective as the 76.2 millimeter, but they're going to be able to help us nonetheless. All right, so looking at this battle group, the first battle group in the 478th Rifle Regiment, whose sister battle group is right here. I want to place them close together so they can have cohesion, and also so their supply units can be, we can have this singular supply units that are back here be close to them and provide ammunition support and logistical support. Now looking at this artillery battle group right here, the reason they're in red state is just because their experience level is just so abysmal. They do have the morale, though, to maybe carry them through it, you know? Hey, sometimes morale might carry you through poor experience. But they are artillery units, and you can see they're actually at the very front of our lines, and that puts them in a state where they can be ambushed very easily if they're trying to do any movement at all. So what I'm going to do is try to protect them from that. I'm going to assign, seeing the scouts or forward observer position, if you assign recon units to a battle group, they can't be ambushed. So I'm going to go ahead and assign these this recon platoon right here, give them some protection. It will prevent them from being ambushed. All right, so we have all of our battle groups shored up. We have our sister units within the same regiments as close together as possible, along with their supply units, and I'm feeling pretty good about everything. Again, centered around this anchor point at Shepetov, with the 2nd battle group in the 478th Rifle Regiment, and this 1st battle group in the 2nd Tank Brigade, composed of T-34s, thankfully, which we have not brought into battle yet, by the way. We've only used the Stuarts and the T-50s, I believe. So it's going to be really nice to get these guys entrenched and be our AT for when the 3rd Panzer inevitably rolls along with those Panzer IIIs and Panzer IVs that I know we're going to be facing. Up here on the northern half of the battlefield, I don't think I'm going to do much other than just maintain a strong defensive position. These battle groups are already entrenched. I'm planning on entrenching these battle groups. You know, if you're not moving your battle groups, you generally want to be putting them on defense. They hit with those mechanized units. Remember, I think they're going to be coming for this key point. I want to be ready to take them on. I have some AT guns up here to help deal with that threat. Shepetov, again, we're just strengthening those lines. I wish I could put some units on these nodes, but again, you can see they're restricted operationally. I can't move him south. Not move him south of this line either, and many of these units I cannot move south, even if I wanted to. So it looks like we're just stuck with these two battle groups right now. Fortunately, they look to be like they are in pretty good position to support each other with combined arms. It's south of the Lenin Canal that I'm really looking to move forward, because we have these two major key points here, and we can definitely do some more advances. I'm thinking what I'm going to do is we'll start down here south. We don't really know what we're facing here. They did have strong machine gun encampments, but I just want to keep putting pressure on the enemy. Okay, it's going to be good to establish our defensive front up here. I really feel good about it. Down south, we just need to apply pressure until we know exactly what's going on. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do the 675th Rifle Regiment 2nd Battle Group. We're going to advance right for that key point. Now remember, when this battle starts, what's going to happen is the point that you attack from is the center square. So this is the node we're attacking from. This will be the center square of the 3x3 battlefield. So the battlefield will encompass this area right here. We'll have the opportunity to take this key point. I'm not saying we will. I don't even think we will. I'm just trying to get a good grasp on what we're facing. As you can see, we have the question marks here on these nodes. We don't know exactly what it is that we're going to be facing. I want to find that out, just like how we know this is entrenched infantry in these positions right here, artillery, and more infantry. We have the command unit here. So with that, I think I'm going to end the turn. Alright, so a quick overview of what I'm going to do with this recon in force. The only square that I'm really interested in, this is all just open ground, is this 1 kilometer square right here. This is where a major key point is. Again, we don't exactly know what we're facing, but we're going to push up with these troops I have right here and see what we can find. Okay, we're ready to start the engagement. We're just going to lay waste with scheduled artillery to this village right here. These troops for now aren't going to worry too much about doing anything unless I feel like it's safe to advance up and take this square. It's not necessarily vital that we take it. This is the square, again, that I really want to take. And then we're also going to be zeroing in on these points with these 82mm mortars. We can use that to snipe. So if we see like machine gun encampments, MG42s, which can be devastating across open ground like this, we will be able to snipe them. We also have those 82mm mortars on map located in this area right here with the spotter. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to see well up here. We'll just have to wait till the engagement starts. And we also have some 76.2mm artillery pieces here. Those are the ones that didn't have a whole lot of ammo. I'm not really planning on using them too much. Go ahead and get it started. You can see we have the arrival of planes. So planes were available. They may be able to help us some in this engagement. I don't think they're going to be too key to anything because we're mainly going to be facing, it looks like, infantry. I'm not even sure if they'll be able to spot them. And there's our shrapnel from the scheduled artillery hitting that small village. Again, this is to our southern flank. Major key point being right here. And it looks like our 82mm mortars are going to be zeroing in on a position. It's going to be heavy in enemy entrenchments, so we'll be able to use these zero-in points to lay down a pretty effective fire when needed. Line of sight is key when zeroing in. And again, they don't have to see the ground point, they just have to see the explosions, which, looking off in the distance, you can see he does have a clear view of them. You can hear our mortars firing. Our on-map mortars, they're receiving commands from this spotter up here. See the white dot? That means that this commander can see these units up here that are white, and that's why they're firing on these positions. And in no hurry right now. I want to deal with this infantry that's advancing upon us. Take care of them first. They decided to walk into us. No reason to advance into them. We'll just stay and fire from here until we can deal with them. And our on-map 82mm mortars are providing fairly effective support. You can see over here. But our 82mm mortars are really providing nice support on that squad that was advancing on us. Little telephone emblem that popped up, that means he's receiving wired communications from the commander above him. This gentleman right here, again, can see that white dot right there, that pale colored dot. He's getting glimpses of them, so he's relaying those orders to his subordinate commanders. The commander of this mortar platoon, this gentleman here, and the commander of this mortar platoon, this gentleman here, and you can see they're receiving their orders to fire in. And as I mentioned earlier, that's why setup during the operational phase of your turn is so important. We haven't had to do anything, and yet this artillery support has just provided us with everything we needed. You wouldn't want to be these guys. You can hear the bullet cracks whizzing by. Mortars surrounding them. Rounds hitting the dirt. While our guys are just sitting peachy. I'd like to do something about these positions. Looks like MG 34s or 42s. What are we looking at? 34? Yeah, MG 34. That's a great position. Let's have these guys take this town. Make sure that they're not hidden. Fire at will is on. Whoop. That order will fill up. And we'll advance on this town. And then come in through here to support these troops that are just getting torn up, taking fire. Yet to see the planes. I don't even know what we have. Be nice if it was some IL-2s. You can just hear them. IL-2s. A lovely plane, lovely plane. I don't know if anybody here plays IL-2 STURMOVIK, but I love these planes. I like to fly them in missions. Not the best pilot, but I do enjoy it. Let's see if they can do some damage to those trenches. Now, if you know anything about the IL-2, they're really an amazing plane. They were called the Flying Tank. And really, they're the great-great-granddaddy of the A-10 Warthog. This is what this plane is. It's a dedicated attack plane. And it is a flying tank. It could take a ton of damage. It was the most produced plane during the war, I believe. Interestingly, I don't think there's any left that are flyable today. It's not like the B-17 where there's several that you can fly. There goes some cluster bombs. Excellent. There weren't any left. I think they've tried to reconstruct one or two. I'm not sure of the exact details, but there's really not many left, if any at all. You can just see bombing those trenches. You can see the rear gunner. Most dangerous job in the war. Well, there is a gun down here. It looks like the IL-2s are going kind of after it in the general direction. I don't know what type of gun it is. There goes that tail gunner. And they're slow, but they can take the hits. Equipped with rockets, some crazy cannons. There was even a few aces, a few Soviet aces during the war that flew the IL-2. And it is IL-2, not IL-2. What was that gun down here? Already. I know oftentimes the pilots didn't even like having a rear gunner. They considered them ineffective, added weight. And it was really rough on them when they had to come back and find out their tail gunner didn't make it. Nice rocket strikes. Looks like the artillery didn't quite get hit. It took a few shots at them. Weren't able to take them out. Just missed him. Fly by over our own troops. Great for morale. Beautiful plane, beautiful plane. And the Red Star. This group right here, tell them to assault. Get rid of that MG-34 position. You can hear the mortars just going crazy. Try to take these positions up here. Tell them to attack. This group. Attack. And oh, right there. Attack. And third group. We'll lead back for support for now. Troops that were on the south of our flank, moving up on those MG positions. So if they can take out this group on this hill, our main assault force over here will be able to advance without that enfilade fire. Just the sheer amount of troops. Really, as far as this assault goes, my main concern is this enfilade fire that we're going to be receiving from over here. Yeah, this assault over here is going. That soldier, even though he's German, he's got a PPSH. The Soviets creeping up on him. I don't think they've spotted him yet. Not looking good for him. You can see that enfilade fire. They're laying down on our troops as they advance. But look what they have coming towards them. There's our village off in the distance. I think this guy's about to get picked off. He's been spotted. So even though the experience level is a concern, our troops are advancing. I mean, it's light resistance that we're facing, if you want to be honest, but anytime you have to advance across open ground with the Wehrmacht, I mean, it's hard to do. They've got those MG-34 teams, they have good indirect fire support. You know, ours isn't too bad itself. You know, we have the artillery pieces, we have the mortars that are off-map and on-map, and it has helped us. Those MG-34s, sometimes they can be hard to overcome. You can just see, I mean, look at the numerical advantage that we hold. So their experience levels aren't too bad. You can see these are regular troops, actually, so 43, way better than 30. That's why these troops aren't going down as soon as they come under fire. I'm worried about this area over here, but they may actually be blocking themselves with these hills. It's mainly artillery, I believe. Oh, those are some small Paks. I think those are the 3.7 millimeter Paks. Or 3.7 centimeter, excuse me, Paks that we were talking about. That really aren't going to do much damage against our T-34s, but they can harm our Stuarts. I'd like to take those out if possible. We've got a machine gun encampment right here. Our troops up here. There's really no reason to have these guys up here anymore. They did their job. They got that MG-34 encampment. It looks like these guys are trying to get out of here, so we'll just have them take defense behind this hill. No reason to leave them exposed. They're not going to do anything against those machine gun encampments. Now, if we had a firing solution like artillery, it'd be great, but we just don't have it. And I'm not willing to send this battle group across 1 kilometer of open ground against artillery and machine gun. It's just not going to happen. The event seems to be going fairly well. We're running out of time. We have 12 minutes left. 10:46 in the morning. The engagement will be over around 11. Now we're coming up on the trenches. Threw a grenade but missed. Another. They're just overwhelmed. Overview of the battlefield, not looking bad. Really would like to take these key points though. We have 11 minutes to do it. It's a possibility. Oh man, so this is something that can happen very easily if you play this game. It's just easy to do. So always be aware whenever you tell troops to move, make sure that their remain hidden button is off, or they're going to crawl the entire way. Alright, let's let them fire at will. I think we're going to fire again on these positions. .230 per gun. So here's our second platoon moving up that we had in reserves. The ones that I told to assault. This position right here, in between those two hills. And off in the distance, we have the artillery, 37mm Paks, and machine gun encampments. That's some off-map party we just assigned. Back at this position. Our troops are finally moving up close. Right here, the foxholes. Nice. Really, in a lot of these engagements, it's all about attrition. So you think, okay, that's just one pack gun. What's it going to do? Well, you get rid of one of those every engagement. After 4 engagements, I mean, it really starts to add up. You have to fight for every single piece. Even though at the end of the battle, at the end of the operation, you might have a situation where you've had 1,000, 2,000 casualties. You have to take it one engagement at a time. You have to go after everything you can, because it adds up. Okay, so that's the end of the engagement. Weighted platoon-wise, I'm kind of surprised. We actually were the ones that were at a disadvantage, 483 to 501. I felt like in that engagement it was the Wehrmacht that was overwhelmed, but I don't know if it was the IL-2s that helped. I do know on the northern flank, there was a lot of entrenched Wehrmacht soldiers that did not participate in the battle. So I'm going to chalk it up to that because it felt like we had a pretty good numerical advantage, at least where we were attacking. It was time we ran out of. Casualties 91 to 106. Let's see what happened down here. Not much in the way of guns on either side being lost. What I'm really interested in is the ground that we captured. I really wanted to capture this. You can see, looking though, it looks like we were unable. We did capture this square here, but we just couldn't get this final square up here. It was too contested. I think if we had 30 minutes to an hour long more, we would have been able to take it, but it just doesn't look like that was the case this time. You can see we had a lot of troops stationed almost in the center of the square, but the Wehrmacht was able to hold out. Fine, recon in force. We know they don't hold too strong of a position here. We can come back and hit them on the next turn even harder and take that second major key point. Alright, so if you remember, this is the northernmost section of our line. This is the north flank. During the previous turn, the mechanized units made a push through here. We gave up this square kilometer of ground, but the major key point is this one right here. They have not penetrated into this point yet. This is the spot that we cannot give ground on. We must hold this point as it is a major key point. As far as my setup goes, I'm going to go with the same strategy I did last time that worked fairly well for us. We have a lot of our T-50s placed and scattered throughout here in goalies, to where they won't be exposed to Paks if they do bring any Paks up. And if mechanized units do start to push through, they can pull up and provide fire support, hopefully out of range of the Paks. I have hotkeyed to my 3 key. This armor back here, which is composed of a bunch of Stuarts, and possibly, no, it looks like it's all Stuarts. And as you can tell, they're hiding behind these little hills, this micro-terrain. And if I need to, if the mechanized units push through here and our key point is in danger of being taken, I can put them on top of this hill, and hopefully the Paks will be about 2 kilometers, which will be outside of range, and they can rain down fire and provide support to the infantry scattered throughout here. As far as our off-map artillery, we have our 82mm mortars. I set up a bunch of zero-in points around this square, because what I'm doing is I'm gambling that what's going to happen is the enemy is going to push, just like this line says, through this square right here to take this key point. I'm not anticipating a lot of action from up here. I think the majority of the assault is going to come from this direction, and I've set up as such. You can see most of my infantry tanks scattered throughout here, the T-50s. We have some submachine gun squads in those goalies. Rifleman squad with a little bit more range up on top of micro-terrain hills. And we have, again, these Stuarts back in reserve, hidden behind hills that we can call up if we need. We also have this off-map 82mm mortar group. We have a bunch of zero-in points that hopefully he won't even need to fire to zero in on because he has a visual to. If we go to him right here, we can see he's on top of this hill. So he has a good, clear visual on the field. We may not even need to fire to zero in on these points, and we can use it to snipe. Let's say if there's a pack that's giving us any trouble, a machine gun encampment, we can zero in with these mortars and really just use them as a sniping tool to remove trouble units. The other thing I have is over here. You notice we have these, what are they, 45mm guns set up. I do have one facing this direction. He's entrenched. You can see the little entrenched sign, just in case they roll up with a little bit of armor or mechanized units, just as a kind of buffer in case an assault does launch down through here. I don't anticipate it though. And then we have infantry protecting him here that is also dug in. Primarily what I'm trying to do is have our 45mm guns. You can see we have one here, and then our other 2 in the group, we have them spread way out. Let's see, where are they? Here. On top of this hill. And what I'm hoping we can do is, if they roll in any mechanized units, these 45mm guns will be able to wreck them. Now, as far as armor, they're going to have problems with Panzer IIIs and Panzer IVs, particularly at this range. If you look at their ammo, we have armor-piercing high explosives, okay, and they're only 45mm rounds, so they're not going to do much against tanks, which, if you've noticed, one thing I've done is I have them to where they will not fire at will. Now, that's very important. The reason you want to do that is because they do have high explosive rounds. They act almost as a type of artillery as well. And let's say that we start to see some Panzer IIIs, Panzer IVs roll down through here, okay? And they're firing at infantry because I have fire at will on. They're going to expose themselves, and we definitely don't want that. You don't want Panzer IIIs, Panzer IVs coming from all the way up here where they can just take pot shots at these guys and they're completely defenseless. So I want to wait and assess the situation before I decide to open up with them. Finally, we have our 82mm mortars, which are located, I have them hotkeyed to 6. Always use your hotkeys, folks. It's very, very important to use your hotkeys. Let's see if I can find them. Looking at the entire map now. Oh, here we go. Okay. I also have my 82mm mortars. You can see right here. And because we kept them, this is why the operational map is so essential, okay? You have to make sure you call up the right reserves, the ones that have ammunition. If they don't have ammunition, swap them out. If you can't swap them out, make sure you have a supply battle group that is attached to that particular battle group to supply it so they can refill their ammo. And you can see they do have their ammo refilled. 40 rounds of those 82mm mortars. And you can see we have 4 of them. Okay, so they have the potential to do a lot of damage. Also, I've turned off the AI fire control and the fire at will button because I do not want this commander relaying orders to them if he has a visual. As you can see right here, he's got a good visual of the battlefield until I know exactly where I want them to fire. I don't want them wasting ammunition before the fight gets too heavy. So we want to just be able to have the option to control that. Finally, I want to talk about command chain lines. Now, I'm not sure if everybody is aware about this, so I'm going to go through it really quick. If you notice, there's all these arrows just jumping everywhere across the field, and some people might be like, what the hell is going on here? Well, those are your command chain lines, and basically what it is it is an arrow that goes from a command unit to his direct subordinate unit. Okay, so you can see, and this is in the deployment stage, this basically shows you the official order of battle, what's going on. So this commander right here, you can see this 1 in parentheses 1 means he is a battalion commander, and this number right here, the 1, denotes that he is the 1st battalion commander of the, what regiment is he in? 481st Rifle Regiment. You can see it right there. So basically anything beneath him, he's going to have a green arrow going to. So he's going to go to any commanders that are beneath him, be it like a company commander or a platoon commander. So if you look at this right here, for example, right here, you see this green arrow. It's going to Suhin. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. We click on him and you can see he is an attachment in this 481st Rifle Regiment. So he is a direct subordinate of him. That's why it's important to keep your order of battle structure intact if possible, because let's say that we had somebody from a different rifle regiment. This guy was not the 481st Rifle Regiment. There would not be a command chain line to this guy, and he would not be able to communicate and relay things to him. So let's say, for instance, that he is on this hill, okay, and he sees enemy units coming through here. He has the ability, because of this command chain line, to communicate to this commander here, right here. You can see that green arrow, again, coming to him. The positions and the coordinates of the Wehrmacht coming down through here. And he, in turn, will relay it. He has to be within vocal range of his artillery, which are his 82mm mortars, the firing positions. So it goes from this commander here, who spots it, relays it via telephone wire to him, who then relays it vocally to his artillery, his mortars here. So that's why it's essential to have these command chain lines, particularly with artillery. Now, what you can notice is they have to have wire crews if they are outside of vocal range. Obviously, this guy is a fair distance from Suhin. He's not going to be able to yell, hey, man, you got to come to this coordinate right here. Not going to happen. He needs a wire crew to connect him. See, we have our wire crew right here. And I'm going to start him out actually a little bit closer. Where is he? Right here. So the wire crew needs to be closer to him. I'll place him right here. And so what they're going to do once the battle begins is they're going to run up this wire. They're going to connect a wire to him, and they're going to run it to Suhin. And then they'll be connected. If you notice right now, you see this link lost. That means because it says link lost, it means he has the potential to receive wired communications, but the wired communication is not in place yet. Now, if he was entrenched, that means they had time to set up wire and communications beforehand. He would automatically be connected before the battle began, which is absolutely awesome. That's why we try to get our troops entrenched on defense, and why setting up these wire matrices, particularly when you're holding the position, is so important. You can have these wire connections set up beforehand, and it absolutely helps you to wreck enemy assaults with artillery as they approach. So you will see eventually this wire crew, because they are set, see this little U-turn button? It's called maneuver control. It means they're going to automatically set up their wired connections just to the subordinates. Okay, so just to where these green arrows are going, he'll set up wired connections to the commanders. And we're going to wait for that to happen once the engagement begins. We'll go ahead and finish deployment and get on with this engagement. We have no initial orders to give because we're going to be acting defensively. There will be a bombardment around this area right here. It's just a general bombardment with our scheduled howitzers. And again, this is just a gamble. We just had the ammunition for it, 240 rounds. So I'm just laying out a firing lane, a wide firing lane that's going to walk back, creeping barrage about to this point, and hopefully we'll nail some troops that are stationed in this area. But again, that's a gamble, and I only did it because I had the ammunition to spare. Start the game. And one thing I want you to take note of, remember we were just talking about that command hierarchy, those command arrows, which was called the command hierarchy. If you notice, once the engagement actually begins, you'll see these lines. Did you see how they just disappeared? There's no longer an arrow coming from this commander to this commander. And that's because once the engagement begins, it only shows the actual chain of command as it can be communicated down the line. And remember how we said this guy was out of vocal range of this commander? So there's no way for them to communicate. Now, once this wire crew right here connects with him, to him, you'll see that those arrows come back, meaning that he has direct communication. So when you're actually in the engagement, it shows you only those lines which have direct communication with each other, be it through voice, radio, or wire. All right? It's the pre-deployment where you can see the real chain of command. And so it looks like now we've already began with our fighting. Unfortunately, it looks like our T-50s are positioned perfectly to deal with those mechanized units. Direct hit right there. Have infantry here as well, taking another shot at it. And this T-50 may be able to deal with all these mechanized units. Now, that was a little bit of luck, but we did position these T-50s in a good position. See now our infantry opening up. Really, this placement couldn't have been any more perfect. We were very fortunate with the placement of these T-50s. They're going to be pretty well protected from these Wehrmacht half tracks, unless there are some SPWs that have on the front, instead of these machine guns, instead of these, I think they're MG-34s, I'm not entirely sure, but instead of the machine guns, some of them do have artillery rounds with high explosive and AP rounds, but I don't believe I see any right here. Direct shot again. Look at that. Tons of mechanized units all around as soon as the fight starts. Got more T-50s. And that is a large formation of half tracks. Looking at a general overview of what's going on, they are attacking exactly through the point that I thought they would. Go to our map. I thought the main assault would come through here, and it's looking like it is, which bodes well for us. As far as our bombardment, it looks like it might be a little bit to the west of their position. You can see right here on the map, this red arrow points north, so this would be west. It's a little west of their position. Do have units under fire and retreating. Let's see what's going on there. We lost our T-50. Just major engagement going on. There's nothing we can do right now to try to hold them off. Infantry. They're in a tough spot right now. They need those supports from the T-50s. All of the flares going off. The black flares for the Wehrmacht signalize attack, I believe, which is what is happening right now. Shells from the T-50s hitting those German half-tracks, although there's so many of them. They may be difficult to deal with. Now we do have those Stuarts in reserve, if you remember, behind those hills. I might have to bring them up. Major fighting. You can even see flares all the way back here, half a kilometer down. Getting an overview of the battlefield. Mechanized units pushing forward. They look like they have some AT weaponry right here, so I'm hesitant to bring up these Stuarts that I have here. I might send some infantry here to see if I can at least tie them down while I bring up the Stuarts. I am going to tell, where do I have them here? Our mortars, we're going to allow them to fire at will and receive orders from their commanders for targeting. You can see those green targeting arrows immediately get started. Our mortars are going to start firing. Looks like we have armor firing as well. I don't think they're exposed to these AT weaponries yet. Let's see what they are. They might be Paks. Oh, and you can see we already have shooting at them. Oh yeah, 5 centimeters. I don't know if those are 5 or 7.5 centimeters. In any case, they will wreck our tanks. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow... Remember these 45mm guns we had? I'm going to tell them to fire at will. Tell our other two, just click them, control click. I can right click to go towards them. There they are. Tell them to fire at will as well. And I think I'm going to move this infantry up. Actually, it looks like we have... Oh, look at that. Laying down fire on them with their HE rounds. I really want them to get those Paks. If we can remove those Paks and they're no longer a threat, you can just see them here in the tree line. There we go. If we take those out and they're no longer a threat, we can move up those Stuarts and support our infantry and our T-50s trying to desperately hold off those mechanized half-tracks coming through. You can see them right there. Another shot. This crew's already been decimated. Nice. We hit the F key, brings back our HUD, and you can see right here, those are our 45mm guns raining down that fire on them. Firing from this position, our infantry in front. We even have our Stuarts engaging already. But I'm not going to advance these infantry units. They're engaging the Paks. I think I'm going to bring up our Stuarts. I have them hotkeyed. Always use your hotkeys, folks. I'm going to place them on top of a hill. I don't want them too far up yet. Let's see what groups we have here. Here's one group. I'm going to place this group up on top of the hill, so we'll move him here. Him here. Where's our last one? Right here. I'll move him here. We'll take the rest of our Stuarts and advance them up. I want to go ahead and deal with these half-tracks immediately. This group. Attack move up to here. To reset the order wheel, you can hit escape to do this and restore the UI defaults, which just basically means order wheel orders are going to go back to default. So instead of it being a sparse 2-line deep formation, which will put them in wedge, it goes back to the normal line. Attack up here. So we've got fire support with some Stuarts. They're going to be on top of this hill right here, and then these Stuarts are going to advance. These Paks are tied up. Look at that. Excellent. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Got artillery rounds here. There's our bombardment from our scheduled howitzers. Artillery just lighting up the field. And again, the key to this is we set up everything correctly. We had our sister units from the same regiments together, the correct order of battle structure so orders could be relayed. And we have our mortars set up to provide fire support. Just hear those bullets cracking. There's our T-50s. Now, interestingly, I did not know this. I wasn't aware of this. It's a fact I learned recently. These T-50s were never deployed by any other army than Kohminko's 44th Army. So this is the only time you will ever see the T-50s in action, is with this army here. And I'm kind of a fan of them. I mean, they're a light tank, but they do provide good support. But look at those artillery shells just lighting up the Wehrmacht. Communication is key. You have got to set up your wire matrices. The operational part of the battles are just key. I'm feeling pretty good about this. They are advancing through, but we have our armor coming. You look at our mortar commander, you can see it still says link lost, so he is not linked up yet. The wire crews have not linked him up yet with this commander. But they are still receiving orders to fire, and they're mainly firing at these Paks, which is exactly what I wanted. Our armor trying to push up. Here are the Stuarts on top of the hill, providing fire support. T-50s in the foreground, Stuarts in the back. Infantry interlaced throughout. A large portion of that assault is coming up here, the very northern half. There are T-50s here. I think some of them have been wrecked, however. That Stuart just lit up that half track. Let's go to the northern section of the battlefield. Even have infantry on top of this hill, firing down. Hit the F key to bring up the HUD. You can see we still have these T-50s. They're doing fine. Down in this gully, safe from long-range pack fire, and they're able to fire upon these half tracks. Hear the bullet cracks. Overview of the battlefield. Our Stuart line right here, moving into this point to provide support. We've got our Stuarts up on this hill right here, and then our T-50 still interlaced throughout. They seem to be doing well. We've taken out a lot of those mechanized units. My only worry right now is the pack. Here's our 45mm guns, still firing at the Paks, right through the brush. At least tying them down. Movement right here. More flares. Direct hit on that half track. Coming down to the Wehrmacht positions, you see those artillery just going off. I believe that's the 82mm mortars. They're getting it from the 82mm mortars. Also getting it from those 45mm guns. Most of them completely suppressed. Hands over their head. And we've neutralized those Paks, which is good not only for this engagement, where we can bring up our Stuarts in this general area, but also for engagements that are to follow. The more Paks we can neutralize, the better. Everything's still looking good. You can see these arrows, the firing arrows from the Stuarts. With this right here, if you press it once, it's only going to show you the firing arrow for the selected unit. Press it again towards field, it shows you what everybody on the map is firing on. I'd like to have that on. See, we still have some of our mortars firing. Let's check our ammo levels. Already expent all of their ammunition. This guy has nothing left. That's excellent. That's lovely. This guy still has 100% of his ammo left. That surprises me. I'm wondering why he hasn't fired. And this guy, 100% of his ammo left. You can see, though, that he's getting a designation. See this right here, which means he is receiving direct orders from his commander on where to fire. And the Wehrmacht is getting absolutely destroyed. This engagement has clearly gone in our favor. Bullets cracking by, just an overwhelming amount of firepower. Those 82mm mortars just completely devastated their positions. The T-50s took out the mechanized units. They did not have heavy enough support. Nothing that could penetrate those T-50s. If you look at most of these half-track guns, they're just the MG-34s. I really don't even see any SPWs have the capability to penetrate armor. All machine guns. I do see up here, it looks like there is some armor, but I don't think they're going to be able to do much damage to us, if you want to be honest. Here's our Stuarts that we're rolling up. Lovely. The main portion of the Wehrmacht assault scattered, littered throughout here. They've already been decimated. Did not take long at all. And virtually every single one of these half tracks has been disabled or destroyed. What I'm doing is I'm holding on the control button, and that allows you to select multiple units, hotkey them, hit Control 9, so now anytime I press the 9 key, it brings them up. Use these guys to advance. We will have them advance up to this position, and then see where to go from there. I'm not too worried about those Paks. If I hit the 0 key, I can have all my 0 endpoints. This was the hotkey for the 3 82mm mortars that were off map. I'm going to see if I can get this position here, which I can. We have those 0 in points. We're going to lay down just fire on these Paks. I want to get rid of them. We'll go with 30 per gun. They have a total of 300 rounds of explosives, so plenty. Fire immediately, and we're going to go with it. Schedule it right there. Our other command, this little red bar, is the howitzers. The scheduled howitzers, and you can see off in the distance. See the shell still going off. Right now we're preparing to fire on this position. Our spotter. Look from his view, what he can see. Hitting the F key, the Paks are right here, so he'll be able to see the explosions from the mortars that he's calling in. It will be accurate. There's our Stuarts advancing. I'm going to hold down Control and select these. Hotkey them to 8, so we have Control 8. So we have 9 and 8. I'm going to have 8 advance as well. I believe we've dealt with most of the mechanized threat. Anything that can deal damage to our armor, we're going to roll up with this armor now and envelop them. I want to get rid of as much of this Wehrmacht infantry as I can now that they are exposed and they have nothing to protect them. Our off-map artillery, our 82mm mortars, they're firing now. Again, this is from his view. Hitting the Paks now. Now the shells are really starting to fire. They have 89 rounds left. Fire. Pak here. Pak here. And at the very least, if we can't eliminate those Paks, we can continue to tie them down with this just devastating artillery while we move our Stuarts and T-50s on their general assault and roll up that area. Take back the kilometer we lost during the previous turn of engagement. Stuarts are really rolling now. See in the distance. I believe that's where the Paks are up here. Tied down with that artillery, you can just see it going off. Our Stuarts and our T-50s are moving up. Overview of the battlefield. Completely decimated their main assault. There is a lot of armor over in this position as well that we might have to prepare for. I don't know what type of armor it is either. So it looks like the 3rd Panzer finally may have armored units coming up. Can't see what they are. As soon as I see what they are, we're going to decide how to deal with them. Anything more than a Panzer III, and we need to place our armor units again behind these hills, so just in case they manage to come through this portion of the map, and we can ambush them at close range. That's the only way we're going to be able to deal with anything Panzer III and up. Tokyo Drift! Again, that artillery is still going off around those Paks. And remember those 82mm mortars that we had on map, how effective they were. And just helping to wreck that initial assault in conjunction with the T-50s. Please, guys, please, the operational phase of the battles are so essential. Keep your command groups together. Keep your battle groups within the same order of battle structure. Make sure they have the appropriate battalion commanders, the appropriate company commanders to get those command chain lines going so you can communicate artillery strikes. It is just key to the battlefield. Artillery reigns supreme. Wehrmacht absolutely devastated. Even some Paks here. Look at that. T-50 rolling up on them now. Another. Right on top of the Germans. Nothing they can do. check out our guns. If we still have them. Can be hard sometimes to locate. Some of your critical positions. That's why it's key to hotkey them. Don't see them. They may have been taken out. That's fine. Yeah, looks like the trenches were here. Unfortunately, we did lose our 45 millimeters, but they served their purpose. No bullet cracks. I see our infantry right here. They're already engaged. I really would have liked to have used them in a ambush role, and what I could have done for that is I could have set up either a firing cone, which basically means do not fire beyond, like, let's say 240 meters, and I could have told them to hide and turn fire at will off and waited for some of these tanks to roll up and then ambush them. I believe they're probably going to come down this road, however. Everything's looking great. I'm going to take my infantry, which I hotkeyed before the engagement, to 1, and I'm going to have them advance. Okay, so you can see I hit 1. Look at all the infantry we have. They're going to advance and take this square back. Too deep and sparse. Allow them to use smoke, maneuver. Let's do it. So that attack is now going to begin. I don't want to push our armor up much more because it looks like they may be in range of the Paks. See if they can have... Nope, but look at that. See? Always pay attention to that micro terrain. Don't stay at the top of the screen looking at everything with a bird's eye view. You can look right here. Those Paks are not endangering these armored units at all. They're completely safe. What I'm going to do is tell them to stop. I'm going to wait for the infantry support to come up. Him as well. And him. Stop. We'll just make sure out of range of the Paks. That slow sloping hill. Look at that devastation. This was the engagement we needed. Nine hotkey will cancel the order. No, we're good. And we'll just allow these tanks, where I cancel the order, to provide fire support. Got a line here, and then 1 key, hotkey to our infantry. And you can see they're going to push up and just advance in this general area. And I believe they'll be able to take it without issue. Enemy's already offering a ceasefire. 11:26 changes to our countdown. 31 minutes left in the engagement. Again, this is how you can show different things. Like if I wanted to show the compass on and off, command hierarchy, this was the command chain lines I was telling you about. There's a bunch of fire focused on this point. Where is it coming from? Oh yeah, our Stuarts. And then, oh great, lovely. We still have our 45 millimeter guns. That one was destroyed, however. Oh, those are the ones that were up here. Destroyed. So 45 millimeter guns still providing support from way back. Remember how critical placement is in deployment. These guys are pretty much out of range from anything that can harm them, and yet they're placed on a hill where they can provide fire support. Our infantry pushing forward. Erratic sounds, cracking bullets as they whiz overhead. I believe these are the Stuarts, or are they the two T-50s? It's like a mix, mainly Stuarts. There is infantry, Wehrmacht infantry up here, but if we pull up too much further, we're going to expose ourselves to those Paks. I'm going to leave them here for now, and they can continue to provide support. Because look at that. You know, those Paks might be gone. This crew got wrecked. More arty rounds. This crew's not looking good. What else do we have? I know there was several Pak guns that we took out. So we had the one here, completely destroyed. Here, They're still in position. Pack gun has no crew to man it. I want to take this square, okay? The reason I want to do that is because I don't want them to have the opportunity to recover those packs. So if we look, where were they? Got a little disoriented. Let's see. Okay. Our packs were right here. Now if we go to the map, we can see which square it was. So they're right here in general. So I need to take this square. If we take this square, we take any packs that were not destroyed. Because there might be, you know, look like one of those packs at least had, looked like it was intact, but it did not have crew manning it, and they could just place a crew on it if they needed. So we're going to take this position with all this infantry. I'm worried about this armor up here, though. I don't know what it is. Just wish I could have got a visual on it when I had the chance. See, this infantry over here is engaging. Select all this infantry and move their fire sectors. Right-click it and allow them to fight. And this is from the flank that I didn't anticipate much combat happening from. It has been fairly light. This is mainly a reconnaissance force that the Wehrmacht sending at us. They have all that armor, though, coming up. There's our troops there, firing from their foxholes. Like one just got dropped. Overview of the battlefield. Pushing up. Really, the last major section of Wehrmacht resistance is right here, centered around where those packs were. And then I'm worried about this armor. I don't want to pull up too far. I want to take this square so we can capture it and also take possession of these packs, but I really don't want to expose myself to this armor. I don't know what it is. I'm not worried about this infantry. It's very light, and even if they broke through our defenses here, there's not much they could do. We are on the map. So we really need to get our armor into this position here. So about this point where the packs are. Right here is where they need to be. If I hit 1, go back to my infantry, we can see it's generally right where they're attacking to. So go to the map, you can see they're going to take possession of this square. So basically the way possession works is, if you're not aware, it's whoever has the most troops in the square at the end of the engagement. Now, it doesn't have to necessarily be the most. It's whichever side has control of the square, which is determined by the AI. Generally, it's pretty evident at the end of an engagement who has control of which squares. And now our infantry has reached the Stuarts that were way out in front. Slowly crawling forward. There's a Wehrmacht soldier in the midst of this Soviet advance. I don't think he's going to make it. Ooh. I don't know where that came from. Looks like our armor is still okay, though. I don't see us really getting hit with anything. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to take these troops right here. Yeah, these troops right here, and I'm going to use them to come on and provide increased pressure on this position. So we have our main infantry thrust coming through here. And then once they get closer, I'll hold the shift key. We'll set a delay for 5 minutes. We'll wait until 11:39, still holding the shift key. At 11:39, we will have them straight up assault this position. And hopefully with the pressure from this main thrust, with the armor, this infantry can come up, wreck these packs from their flank. Let's go to our countdown and move that so it shows the actual time. This battle group here moving out at 11:39. So we have about 4 minutes before their assault begins. I'll hotkey these guys as well. hotkey these to Control 3. And just to see how our mortars did, I want to see, there were a few mortars that didn't expend all their ammunition. Look, our Stuarts up here, still firing from way back, providing support. Look at that. Again, that's why it is key. Place units, be aware of this micro-terrain, and place them where they can provide support effectively. Go to our map. Uncheck this. Uncheck this. I saw with those Stuarts that we placed here, that is the high point on the map, 137. And so I knew if I placed them here, they'd have an overview of the entire battlefield. Coming down to our mortars now. Check their ammo situation. 0, 20, which that does not mean HE. They've probably expended all of their HE rounds they have. Still has 100. And 88. So they didn't get the opportunity to fire as much. I'm not sure why the commander decided to do that or what went on there, but we do have ammo for the next engagement. And again, this is why on the operational map, can't say it enough, make sure that units, battle groups have their supply units next to them on the map and they are within supply range, because we might have to use these mortars in the next engagement on the next turn, and you don't want half of these mortars, 2 of these mortars will not have any ammunition. Keep them supplied. So our forces are really creeping up to the crest of this hill now, which is where the Wehrmacht is, where those Paks are. Pushing forward. PPSH is in hand. Excellent weaponry. Close-range engagements like this. Just dropping Wehrmacht soldiers. Hit the F key, it's 1138, 1139. So, you recall that infantry we had scheduled to move, what were they hotkey to? The 3 key? Yeah. They're going to begin their assault in just a moment. You can see from their position, again, they're on this side of the hill with the Paks. Our forces down here, still pushing up. See them running up right now. And then these guys are they're scheduled to move out and outright assault the position. I believe we're going to be able to take it. Looks like it's time to roll. Let's take that final point of resistance. And there they are, right there. Moving on up. Paks stationed right here. Most of them destroyed. Most of the crew wiped, but I want that square, so they can't take them back. The thrust of our main assault, moving up through here. And this is our flanking unit. Now we have Soviet soldiers rolling up right into the Paks. And the bulk of our forces right behind the crest of the hill. So I'm moving forward. Grenade. Oh, that'll be nasty. But they're still putting up a stiff resistance. But he is surrounded by Soviets. You can see this advance just pushing right past the Wehrmacht troops. Scattered throughout, trying desperately to defend. Troops intermingled on this assault. bitter close combat. Even though we have this engagement, we've won it, and it's a sure thing, you still have to realize these troops battling out hard. It doesn't just happen easy. There's guys fighting down here. Fighting harder than anyone's fought to this point. Even though the engagement's already decided. These are the guys that make it happen. Check our countdown. Down to 6 minutes in the engagement. Again, I believe we have total control of this square. Still sporadic fighting around these Paks, but and again, you just see it's these singular engagements, you know, you get up here, you look at this from the bird's eye view, and you just think, oh, all we had to do was take out this little Pak. Not a big deal, we did it with a single platoon. Guys to take defense. But the fact of the matter is, if you get down, right there on the ground, you watch these engagements happen, you see how hard fought they are. Absolutely none of this was easy. And it really, you watched it came down to a few individual soldiers, 10 or 15 individual soldiers, that really fucking fought lights out. Alright, so end of engagement. Weighted platoon forces, 587 to 454. Sounds about right. We had 25 platoons before the engagement, 25 remaining after. Look at the devastation we caused to their platoons. They went from 16 to 6. Our control, 6.2 before, 6.1 after. 3 square kilometers to 4. I believe we took that, that square, which also means that if there were any Paks that were still functional, we took them as well. In service, 529 to 352, 108 casualties to 195, nearly doubled that of the Wehrmachts compared to ours, which is exactly what we wanted. What I'm really interested in is these APCs, these half-tracks. Look at that devastation. 15 Wehrmacht half-tracks. I do not believe they're going to be able to recover from that. I'm still interested in what that armored column was that we saw up on the point of the map where there wasn't much action. I believe it was up through here. We'll find out what that is in the coming engagements, but I'm very impressed with what the Red Army managed to do in this situation. And that'll do it for part 2, guys. As always, I really appreciate you sticking around to the end. You're the real OGs. And I'll have the final bit, part 3, up in the next week or so, complete with a recap and analysis of our performance during this operation. I appreciate you answering the poll on the forum. If I had to combine this into the part 2 and part 3 into one extremely long video, really would have sucked. So I'm glad you guys decided that dividing it into 3 parts total would be the better option. I hope you have a lovely, great day.